Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for joining on time. I hope you all had
Good
a
evening.
good day. Uh, Before I start, maybe thumbs up so that I know you can hear me and you can see the screen. Thank you very much, Prabhakar. All right, You already seen the agenda. For those who have not seen the agenda, just want to say that if you let me go to slideshow mode. Perfect. So, if you don't know, I'm not part of the WhatsApp group, just send me an email to this email address and I will add you to the WhatsApp group. So let's start with the today's topic, guys. We have a lot to cover. Disclaimer: try to be as active as you can, so that we can finish things quickly and we can answer all the questions. So what you must learn today. So you must learn how to use the W word one. There are many ways to use it. We'll learn two ways to use it. Then last week we learned about regular verbs, irregular verbs, and there were like mixed verbs and how they may trouble you or may not trouble you. Today we will learn like Trennbare Verben. It's a joke. I mean, if you think that's difficult, then it's even more difficult. But it's not difficult. Actually, they are much more sophisticated. So you can just take one verb and keep adding prefixes, and you can make many different meanings out of those verbs. So you can how you can use the same in many different ways. Then we will learn the preposition few. Then we will learn to say things like then and after then you will learn so you already know pronouns, right? Ish, do, er, sie, ihr, and so on. And that those are nominative. You have to learn them now in also in accusative. It's not that difficult. It's very easy to remember. Then we will learn the past tense of some useful verbs. Let's see if we can do that. And let's go for examples. We'll do exercises with Modalverben. These examples are from my life. I mean, you can but easily modify to say things about your life as well. Okay, so asking questions using the W word one and different ways to answer such questions. Okay, so normal syntax, So when do you need to use the W word one? There can be many cases, but for me, there are just two cases. One is, you want to know at which time or at which time period something happens, at, during, up to, from, like, when is something happening or till when is something happening. Of course, you can use it for past or future events as well. I mean, you can frame the sentence in past and future as well. And the second case is when you want to know the requirement for something. For example, when am I ready for a job? When can I apply for the job? When are you ready to uh, speak German? A requirement, what are the requirements? Something like that. Basic syntax of a W word question. You should already know this. Can someone please help me with this? So you should already know this, how to write a W word question syntax. So what do we have, like subject, verb, and how does the syntax look like? Who wants to answer?
When is your exam?
No, I need the syntax. So like how is it, like subject, verb, and so like syntax?
W word,
Yeah,
verb,
yeah,
subject,
yeah.
object, or adjective.
Okay, correct. Right. Yeah, and that verb has to be conjugated, right? So it's very simple. W word, verb, conjugate. You have to conjugate it, and then you have subject, and then you have object. The reason I write dot 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 because you can have more things over here. Okay, so this is the syntax of a W word. So you can have welche, which. Then when you say which, you normally add nouns there. Okay, you can have like prefix or like prepositions, just I mean, so it's W word, verb conjugated, subject, object. Okay, in between you can have further things, but this is the basic syntax. So here are the examples for example, one. Can someone read these for me?
One is dein Geburtstag.
Continue reading, please.
One has to Urlaub. Ab one has to Urlaub. One bis one has to Urlaub.
Okay, if you had to take a guess, how what I mean, so what does it mean?
One ist
What is
When is your
Geburtstag?
When is your birthday?
birthday.
Correct.
When is your birthday?
Next one.
When is your birthday?
Yes, next one.
when you have holiday?
Yeah, holiday. So holiday is kind of like yeah, I mean, but it's normally vacation, but it's not.
Vacation.
Yeah, and then next one.
When is your vacation starting?
Yeah, right. Like
How
and
you
yeah,
have
and the
the
next one.
vacation?
From when to when, right? All right. So let's look at the first one, right? You want to know the question is asked in terms of
I
time,
have
like
one. I
question.
have one question.
Yep.
Should the last example be phone one this one?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. One, this
Okay.
one. Yeah. So
Okay.
fun, like from when to when. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So next slide. So wann ist dein Geburtstag? Wann gehen wir ins Kino? So wann ist dein Geburtstag? Of course, the answer is going to be a time. So for example, this is a very common question. You answer, right? Like on this day, it's my birthday. Wann gehen wir ins Kino? I mean, I assume that you are asking like, on which day, Monday, Friday, which time. Of course, you can say wann gehen wir ins Kino. You can just say never, nie. But I hope you know what I'm saying. uh, Now also remember, so you can use, so you'll say one, and you can use words like ab, bis, seit, etc. along with one. So when you say ab one, it means like after when, or like from when. When you use seit, it means since. Okay, so ab one hast du Deutschunterricht. What does it mean?
Yeah. From when do you have German class?
Yes, seit one. What does this mean?
From when have you been learning German?
Okay, so I mean,
Since when have you been learning
yeah,
German?
since when have you been, or since when are you learning German, or since when do you learn German? Okay, in German we don't have all these things. But that is what I'm trying to say. Seit wann gehst du in Fitnessstudio? Fitnessstudio is of course gym. Okay, so since when are you going to? Have you been going to? Are you going to? Do you go to gym? Okay. Now let's look at the second one. Okay, so you want to know the requirement for something. For example, if you have a kid, your kid will say "Wann gehen wir ins Kino?" You can answer this with the help of by stating a requirement after you finish your homework. Now you're giving a requirement. So, for example, wann bist du bereit für German sessions A2? What am I saying? What am I saying?
When are you ready for German sessions A2?
Okay. So if you notice, right, so here we have subject, and then we have verb, and then we have like W word, then we have verb. Please pay attention. W word, verb, subject, okay, and then bereit, few, like, this is what dot 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 means. So bereit is an adjective or an adverb. Few is a preposition we will learn later. So, so this is where the syntax is helpful, so that you can expand within the syntax. So wann bist du bereit für German sessions A2? When are you ready? You can, just say like, from next month. But it can also be answered with the help of a requirement, right? After I pass A1. You know what I'm saying? After I pass A1. Wann darfst du Auto fahren? When are you allowed to, or when are you allowed to drive a car? Or when will you be allowed? Something like that. So you can answer this with the help of a requirement. This is what I meant. So there can be any other cases as well, guys. If you know, please let me know. But I think these two cases are when you use one. So this we covered asking questions. Let's focus on how you can answer. So the way you answer a question depends on the context of a question. As I said, for example, one game when you can just say on Friday, or you can say never, or like after you finish your homework. Depends, how the question is being asked or how you want to answer it. So how you may answer questions of type 1, you can, answer can be a date, can be a date range, time period. Date range like font, blah, blah, bis, blah, blah. Time, So I said, right? Last week we learned how to say time, For example, wann haben wir meeting, blah, 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 right? Date, you can say, we learned, right? Time period also we learned. So wann hast du Geburtstag? Please read this for me. How do I say this?
13 August.
No, read carefully. So it is, it's not right.
Written.
Written, right?
Written.
Yeah.
Written August.
Yes. So if it was EI, then you would have said I, right? But this is just I, so it's written August. Now, some people will say, why is it not? So you normally know, you learned Germans, right? We did this, like how we learned to count from zero to my salary. So you would say it is dry. But uh, for now, I want you to ignore it. Why not dry, why it is written, just ignore it. But just some trailer, just some trailer. So it is because you are using arm, and arm is an plus them, and it is dative, and dative, that's why you have to make it sound like n. Ignore it if you did not get what I just said. So this one, gegen neun, say no. I think this is fine, right? So remember, in exam, when you write time, the time will be small caps. U will be capital. Okay. All right. One more thing, how you may answer questions of type 2. The answer is usually a sentence, So the type 1 is just a date, or a time, time range, date range. The type 2 is you are giving a statement, a requirement, or a condition, right? It's usually a statement. So wann bist du bereit für German A Sessions A2? Nach dem German A1 Sessions, after. Wann darf man Auto fahren? Wenn man die Fahrprüfung besteht. What is bestehen, guys? I think you can guess.
To pass
To pass.
exam.
Right? Yeah. Prüfung is exam. Fahrprüfung is driving exam. Okay. Let's look at this one. So what I want you to do. So first of all, ignore why it is not dry, why it is there, and just understand. Whenever you say you're talking about a day, on this day, you will have to say and if you're mentioning that date, like calendar date, so you will have to say like esten, zweiten, dritten, vierten, fünften, sechsten. Just learn this. You will. And to be honest, you don't have to learn all of them. The one thing that you should learn for sure is like when is your birthday. So if your birthday is on 10th August, learn to say am 10. August. If your birthday is on 31st of I think December, so you will say am 31. August. Just learn at least how to say your birthday. Okay, on this is when is your birthday, just learn how to say this. All right, if you're more motivated, you can learn all of them from 1 to 31st. Also this man, right? So this man, uh, uh, how, so what do you think, I mean, so wann darf man Auto fahren? So MANN, right? That is man, like a man. What is this man? So what am I implying? Or something similar that you can think of in English. Let's see. Shitish, what do you think it is?
It's a man.
No, but
One.
One,
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 right? So it's like,
someone, somebody.
yeah. So you have this one, right? When. So when can one drive a car? When is one allowed to drive a car? When is one allowed to eat? So that one that you use as a noun in English. So something similarly, if you want to use, you have to say man. Okay, clear? Any questions, guys? Okay. Let's talk about, so that was it, about one. Try to write statements, for example, last week I did this homework. I gave you this homework that make timetable, divide your day and see when you have meetings and see if you can write all that in a timetable. And now you have to ask questions for those timetable. For example, if you wrote that von 19 Uhr bis 20 Uhr sag ich mal so, habe ich Deutschkurs. Then you have to write the question, wann hast du Deutschkurs? So last week on Monday, you learned answers. Today, you are learning questions to those answers. Please write them. If you think it's silly, I hope I can tell you you are wrong. All right, let's talk about Trennbare Verben. So these are a few questions that you should know, or the answers you should know. So the first one, I mean, you don't need to know, but let's see. What are Trennbare Verben? So Trennbare Verben are nothing but verbs which are separable. So normally you have verbs, So in English we just have normal verbs, but in German we have verbs where you will have to like separate the verb and keep a specific part of the verb somewhere else and a specific part of the verb somewhere else. Just understand this. Trennbare Verben nothing but separable verbs. It's like Lego pieces. And then you have, now why do you need to know them? Uh, that's a very good question. You should know them because it makes your language much more sophisticated and it saves your time. So I can give you one verb and I can show you how you can use the same verb to say 20 different things. We'll go through that exercise. So you can use one verb and you can just add simple words to it and the meaning changes completely. We'll go through them just in few minutes. How should you use them? We will learn that. So what are trennbare Verben? They are verbs with separable prefix. Prefix usually changes the meaning of resulting verb. For example, machen means to make or to do. Aufmachen is to open. Zumachen is to close. Nachmachen is to imitate. You know, something like that. Let's look at these two examples. Okay, so ich mache die Tür auf. Let me add a text box. So the verb you have the verb machen. It means to do or to make. Then you have aufmachen. Then you have zumachen. Then you have nachmachen. Okay. So aufmachen means to open, zumachen means to close, nachmachen means to imitate or to copy. Okay. So then you have abmachen. Any idea what abmachen means? You can give me an example. Those who have already passed A1 or A2 this year, abmachen. So when you buy a new, yeah, go ahead.
To do.
No, machen is to do, right? Abmachen is something else. Here, this one.
Settle.
No. Anyone else? So when you buy, most one thing that you will happen is that, let's say whenever you buy a new phone or any new gadget, there are stickers. For example, when you buy a new phone, on the back side there is this sticker of the company, right? Most of us never take it out. But let's say if I'm saying, I take the sticker out. So to say that, it will be abmachen. Ich mache das ab. Clear what I'm saying? Abmachen,
Ah,
right? Yeah. So let's say, for example, you buy a new TV and the TV will have the sticker of the company, right? And you want to remove that sticker, you will say, Ich mag das ab. That's abmachen. Okay. So as I said, prefix changes the meaning, of the resulting verb. So as I said, so again, it's very easy to remember, subject. And what you do is you separate the verb, you take the prefix, aufmachen, auf, you push it towards the last position. I will go again in slideshow mode. You prefix, you push it at the last position, and then everything remains the same. Subject, verb, object. Clear? Here, ich, zu machen. So zu is at the last position, and now then you have subject, verb, object. So ich mache die Tür zu. So it's clear. Let's ignore this for now. Let's look at the syntax one more time in detail. What syntax you can follow. So here, so as I said, at the first position you have as usual subject, and normally you have subject, verb, object. But when you have a Trennbare verb, so the verb is actually aufmachen. So you take auf, which was supposed to be here, and you keep it at the last position. So zu machen, zu goes to the last position. Okay, but last week we also learned Modalverben, right? Let me go back to the Modalverben. Okay, what are the Modalverben, guys? Can you give me what are Modalverben? So the list, like which did you learn?
Können.
Können, wollen, müssen, dürfen,
Wollen, sollen,
right? We learned about them when we use that, right? So and what is the syntax when you use Modalverben?
Subject, modal verb, object, and more. In the last, we have
So you have
a main
subject,
verb.
you have Modalverb, you may or may not have object, and then you will have the normal verb. Okay,
Yeah,
and
normal verb.
you only
In
conjugate the modal verb. In normal verb, you keep it as it is. The same applies when you are using modal verb with Trennbare Verben. Okay, so you keep all of them to, so you only conjugate the modal verb. The other verb doesn't matter whether it is Trennbare or a normal verb. You keep it together and in infinitive format. Clear? Questions? Guys, if there are questions, please ask. Otherwise, I will assume you understand what I'm saying. So here, the second one example, here you are asking a yes or no kind of question. Okay, let's see, how will ich mache die Tür auf? So I'm saying, ich mache die Tür auf. How will I ask, are you opening the door? How do I say this? Let's go for Vino. Can you answer? Uh, Vino, do you mind answering?
Kannst du bitte machen Sie die Tür auf?
No. Listen to me carefully. So I'm saying, or okay, let's say if I say, is he opening the door? Is he opening the door?
Sai ihr Tür auf.
No.
Is your out?
marked there.
Is your out?
Aufmachen.
Yeah, right. So
Marked there. Die Tür aufmachen.
yeah, right. How do I say, who is opening the door? Please mute yourself. Just one. Let's go with stick to Suraj, right? Let's stick with Suraj for now. So how do I say Suraj? He is opening the door.
Er macht die Tür auf.
Okay, er macht die Tür auf, right? So this is a statement. And how do I convert this to yes or no kind of question? So is he opening the door?
Macht der Tür auf.
Correct, right? So you just replace the positions of subject and the right. It's very obvious, you know. And if I want to say, you know, I can open the door, how will I say I can open the door?
Ich kann die Tür aufmachen.
Correct. You know, so you only conjugate the modal verb, the other one you keep it as it is. And if you know, so können Sie die aufmachen is just yes or no kind of question, you know. And here you I'm being polite with you, right? Singular or plural. If there are any questions, guys, please ask. Okay, so here, so as I said, first position is normally of the subject, second position we normally have for the verb conjugated, and the last position is for the prefix. The prefix is a part of the verb, it is separated over here. Okay, here as well. In this one, when you use Modalverben, when you use one of the modal verbs, what happens is that you write the prefix and the verb together, and it's anyhow towards the end because you are using a modal verb. Okay, and at the first position you have the modal verb and the after the verb. So the subject is either before or after the verb, conjugated verb, and now here it is after. Okay, how will I say how is he opening the door? How is he opening the door, Suraj?
Wie macht der wie
Yeah.
macht
We,
er
yeah.
wie macht er Tür auf?
Yeah, we marked
Die
add
Tür.
the you off, right? You have to say the article as well. Okay, so let's go to slideshow mode again. Remember this, right? So whenever you are using modal verb, it doesn't matter normal verb or separable verb, it will be infinitive format. Okay, this is good. When you use modal verb, you don't have to conjugate the other one. You know, you just conjugate this one. Okay, so we understood the syntax, and now this is, I don't think you need to know this, but how to identify a Trennbare verb when you hear it for the first time. You know, let's say, you know, you're talking to your colleague and the colleague uses a verb and you are not sure. This verb you are hearing for the first time, you know, and he uses that verb with the in a sentence where there's a modal verb as well. You know, so if I go back, you know, so here it looks like that, you know, marker auf. So it looks like there was a prefix and it has been pushed to the last position. But if you read this sentence, you cannot really make it out, right? So let's say if you hear this for the first time, you know, können Sie die Tür aufmachen? So how do you know aufmachen is a normal verb or a trennbare verb? Again, you don't need to master this thing, but just so you know, you know. So if the prefix gets emphasized, and it is very difficult to understand, you know, like you need to listen very carefully. So if the prefix gets emphasized, then it is a trennbare verb. If the prefix does not get emphasized, it is not a trennbare verb. Normally teachers will tell you, you know, like this is very important, you have to focus on this very carefully, you know, you should say it like so. When you speak, you should say it like können Sie die Tür aufmachen? So you have to emphasize auf, you have to emphasize zu. You know, you should not say it like können Sie die Tür zumachen? So you have to emphasize the prefix. But if you ask me, it's not that important. What is important is that you start speaking. Okay, if you can emphasize the prefix, it is good. If you cannot, it is, I mean, to me, it's not a big deal. But if you can try do that, it's fine. You know, it's appreciated. And just one second, someone is writing that they are not. Okay, that person is in. Okay, and this is the you know, if the prefix gets emphasized, it's a Trennbare. If it does not get emphasized, it is not a Trennbare verb. Then how to not mistake a verb with inseparable prefix? You know, so many verbs you will see, and you can figure out that they have a prefix. For example, the verb bearbeiten. You know, so you know the verb arbeiten, right? It's very obvious. What does it mean? What is
Work.
work? Then there is this
Work.
verb bearbeiten. Now you may think, okay, there is this bay, right? It's a prefix. It's a Trennbare verb, but in reality, it is not. So, whenever you see a prefix, don't just assume that it is a Trennbare verb. No, okay. That is something we will learn to now. What does bearbeiten mean, guys?
To edit.
Right? To edit report, to edit presentation. What am I doing right now? The same thing. So how do you do that? Uh, so if you can, it's not mandatory. If you can, so whenever you see a verb with one of these prefixes, ab, an, auf, aus, bei, ein, los, mit, nach, her, hin, vor, weg, for example, abmachen, anmachen, aufmachen, aus, gehen, stuff like that. You can, if you have to take a guess, it will usually be separable. It's a trennbare verb. Whenever you see be, emp, ent, er, ge, miss, fair, ser, it is not separable normally. Okay, so you can take if you can take a guess, but of course there will be exceptions. Dusch, hinter, über, unter. So there will be sometimes separable, sometimes not separable. I do not expect you to remember this, all of this by heart, but it is good to go through them every now and then. Okay, so it is good to go through them every now and then. These hints are useful when you are beginning to learn German. After some time in Beben, I don't expect you to go, after some time you develop this feeling, whether it is separable or not separable. So whenever you see Be, it's obviously not separable. So we covered all of that. So let's look at how you can use preposition, not proposition, it's preposition. Pre is missing. Apologize for this. Few. Any idea what few means? It's obvious. What does few mean, guys?
For.
For, right?
For.
Not always. Okay, not always. There will be situations where even though you want to say for, you cannot use few. Okay, but normally, so it's something like this. Like if you want to say something in English, so whenever you see few in German language, so you can think it of as for of English. But whenever you want to say for in German, so you cannot always, sometimes you will use for few, sometimes you will use something else. I hope you would what I'm trying to say, right? Okay, if there are questions, please ask. So so what I wanted to
Please
remember,
repeat the point about to fuel again. I
so what
couldn't
I'm saying is that, for example, mm, so I'm thinking of an example where it's in English it is for, but in German it is. What I'm trying to say is that, let's say you write a sentence in English. Okay, you write 10 sentences in English. Okay, in all of those 10 sentences they will have for in them. When you try to write the same in German, I don't think you will be able to use für in all of the German corresponding sentences. Some you can use for, but for some other you will have to use other preposition. Is it clear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's what I wanted to say. So für means for, but not always, is what I'm trying to say. But what I wanted to know, so meaning is obvious, but what I want to remember is that when you use few, after what comes after few is accusative. Okay, so das Geschenk ist für meine Mutter is obvious. Geschenk is gift for my mother. If it was father, what would it be? What would the sentence be? So let's see. Meena,
Uh,
go ahead. Anyone? Suraj, go ahead. Yeah.
das Geschenk ist for mein Vater. Yeah,
No, it is
mein.
accusative, right? So when you go from nominative to accusative, masculine always changes.
Meinen Vater.
Mein Vater. Okay, remember this, guys. Please don't do this mistake. Mein Vater. Okay. Bruder as well, meinen. If it was Schwester, then it is meine. Okay, so remember this. When you go from nominative to accusative, masculine always changes. Others remain the same. Okay. So last week we had this, right? I showed you this table and I told you that you should remember it. That 4 a.m. logic, cold water. Remember that. So you may think of German few when you are thinking of English, when you thinking and not you are thinking of English for, but it's not always a good idea. But for now, you can think of few as for. Okay, whenever you want to say for, blah blah. So again here, what am I trying to say? Das Geschenk is few ihn. What am I trying to say? So of course it is a pronoun, right? So You did not learn this, but this means him, you know. So air became in. So air in accusative, we'll go to that table. Just want to say that after few, it is not air, it is in. So syntax is quite obvious, you know. So again, this is normal, you know, like you say blah blah is few, and here you will have, so if the object happens to be an article, you know, for example, here there you had an article and you had a noun, so the article is in accusative case. If it happens to be a pronoun, that also has to be in accusative case. Okay, so here in is a pronoun. We'll go through that, you know, we'll go through accusative pronouns. Just remember this: when you use few, what comes after few is always accusative. When you use few, what comes after few is always accusative. Okay, if you are wondering how to pronounce this correctly, you know, if you need a trick, so how do you say, you say view, right, in English? Just replace v with f, and how do you say few? That's how you say few. Clear what I'm saying? How do you pronounce this one? So you, how do you say in English view? Replace v with f, and that's how you say it. Okay, you can also say foo. It's fine, but I don't think it's correct. Let's again go to slideshow mode. So, and the syntax for a question, it's very obvious, you know. Für wen ist das Geschenk? You know, for whom is the gift? Okay, so wen is, so für accusative, and für wer in accusative becomes wen. Okay, so who is where, but where in accusative is wen. Okay, clear what this blue box is saying? So who is where, okay, but here where has to be in accusative, and that's why it is wen. Okay, all right. Let's learn the, so in, you learned this, you know, so there are others as well. So these are the personal pronouns or Personalpronomen in accusative. So you remember this table, right? Ich, du, er, sie, es, wir, ihr, sie, sie. So I hope you know, like, what is this small s z, right? What is the English counterpart for this one, guys? So this one is she, of course. What am I saying with this z?
You.
They.
No, they.
Okay.
Capital one is you. Okay.
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 Actually, I have every time confusion between ear, ZZ.
Okay. Very okay. So think of it like this. So Ia is, so let's say, you know, you and I are talking. Kshitij, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
let's say
exactly.
you and I are talking, okay? Let's say, and we are colleagues. So we can, I can call you Du, you can call me Du, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But let's say if I want to be, and let's say, you know, I'm talking to Kshitij and Rishi at the same time, you and Rishi, okay? And if I want to
Okay.
refer to you guys, I will have to say Ia.
Okay.
Okay, so singular, informal. So second party, think of second party, you know, you guys are second party to me. And if it is singular and I want to be informal, do. Still
Mm-hmm.
informal, still second party, but plural, so it is ia. Okay,
Okay.
right. Now let's talk about formal. Okay, Kshitij, you know, let's say you are, let's say you are going to, we have this call and you're going to give me a job. You know, we have our first interview call. Now I want to be formal with you, right? Then I will have to refer to you as Z. Okay,
Okay.
you will also use z
Mm-hmm.
for me in formal scenarios. Now let's say, you know, Rishi is also there on the other side of the table with you. He's your colleague, he's also interviewing me. Even then, and now I want to refer to both of you guys, still I have to use z, capital S Z. Okay,
Okay.
second
Mm-hmm.
party, as long as it is formal, it has to be z, singular or plural, it has to be z, capital S Z. Okay, now when you are
Okay.
speaking, I mean, you cannot say like capital small, but on writing you have to be careful. Okay. Okay.
Exactly. Exactly.
And this small s z, this is they, you know, they, like third party plural. So, you know, air is third party masculine, z is third party feminine, s is third party
Okay.
neutrum. This one is third party. Again, I mean, I can just say, you know, this one is third party
So
plural, but I hope you get the idea.
yeah, it's basically like if we both are talking about someone else.
Yeah, and
In
if
that
that
case, we can
happens,
see
if
use
it
we.
is singular, and now third party, there is nothing like, you know, formal, informal. When you talk about third party, I mean, there is nothing like formal, informal. There is just one case.
Okay.
Okay. So think of it like this, you're talking about yourself-ish. You're talking about yourself and one more person, via. Okay. You're talking about third party, masculine air, third party feminine z, third party neutrum s, third party plural z. Okay, right? Capital SC is always second party, but it is always formal. It can be singular or plural. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
No
Uh,
question. Yeah.
so the here accusative, do you pronounce is that you or
No, it is oish. How do you say oiro?
oish?
Right? Oiro.
I
Yeah.
don't,
We will have this
oish.
one session, where we go through how you can pronounce. We will have this session, I think eighth or ninth session. We'll go through pronounce. Like I think we'll talk about pronunciation, but it is oish. Okay. We'll also go through like why. So some places you will have ch, but you say oik, and for example, buc. It is book, correct? It is not bush. So why is it like that, and why is it like here? We'll go through that. Okay. You know what I'm saying, right? So it is
Yeah,
not oik, it is oish. And book and
oish.
not bush. Okay. So these are, you have to remember this as well, right? So whenever I say it is in accusative, you have to remember this, and it is not that difficult to remember. So these remain.
I
As
have
yeah,
I have one more question. Sorry for interrupting.
no problem.
When it comes to Z, she and they
Mm.
in writing, so how would I know like
How you
which will
conjugate
be
the verb
present?
depends on
No,
how you
no,
conjugate the verb.
no. The conjugation also, and the second thing is, uh, okay, got it. Good. Sorry, sorry.
Yeah, yeah, no
Yeah, got
problem.
it.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah, but good question. Yeah. Yeah. So this one, if you guys any questions, feel free to interrupt. Okay, I have no agenda. I have agenda, but we can throw the agenda away. We'll talk about your questions. So if you remember, how do you remember accusative? I mean, remember, I mean, those who are new, the test is, if I come to your house tomorrow at 4 a.m. in the morning and you're in deep sleep, and if I throw cold water on your face, you should give me this table. It should be that clear to you. You should like learn this by heart. It's like ich mich du dich er in zizi es es wir uns ihr euch zizi zizi. Ich mich du dich er in zizi. Should learn it like this, or whichever way you can learn this, mug this up. But it's not. But one trick, So z still remains z. Whether like this z, this z, z, this z, it remains the same, right? S also remains S. So and ish mish do dish air in is not that difficult to remember. Just have to remember. So you have to remember ish mish do dish air in via uns, ihr euch. So basically, you have to remember just five. The others remain the same. You know. So questions? Okay. All right, guys. So just one more thing. I have asked you to like choose a specific. Those who are in the group, you saw that thing. Like I told you to write about your divide your day into 32 parts, and choose one part where you think you should. It will help you to learn German, speak German, and you write about that, right? And now you can like add these kind of words over there. Dann, danach. So dann means then, danach means after that or thereafter or afterwards. Okay. So ich stehe auf. So if I just say, ich stehe auf, let's say if I'm trying to describe my mornings, ich stehe auf, ich frühstücke, ich gehe ins Büro. But if I want to make it more interesting, like not so mundane, I will use like, I wake up, then I have breakfast, after that I go to office. So ich stehe auf, dann frühstücke ich, danach gehe ich ins Büro. Syntax, I think we discussed this in the second session, subject, verb, object. But if something happens to be there in the sentence which takes the position of the subject, then the subject has to leave its position and take the position after the verb. Clear what I'm saying? So the sentence is ich frühstücke, subject verb, but because someone took the position of subject, and subject normally has to leave it. It's not, it's not fixed position. The verb has fixed position. It will always stay at the second position, but subject it has to leave. But it will not go much further away. It will just, remain here or there, before or after the verb. Questions about this, guys? Okay. Start writing this, like add this then after that. You can also use in daily life, we are talking about things. Okay. In real life, if you say, dann ich frühstücke, dann ich gehe ins Kino, people are not going to correct your mistake. They will know what you're saying, but it's just not correct. You have to like, it's second position is always of the verb. It cannot be subject. Okay. All right. Uh, did we discuss past tense last time? If okay, so uh,
No, we didn't.
We didn't, right? Okay. So when in presence, right, as I said, right, in English we have like simple present, present continuous, then you have like present perfect, present continuous perfect, then past also we have like four different cases, right? In German, like present just has one case. So when you talk about past, there are two cases, Präteritum and Perfekt. We'll talk about that, I think, later. But what I want you to remember is that so these verbs sein and haben, these are very common, and you need them to say many different things. So when you talk about past, one way is to use preteritum, and one way is to use participes y. Don't try to remember, just remember that there are two ways to talk about past. When you use preteritum, you just have to learn all the conjugations of the same verb for preteritum. So you learn, right? Sein is ich bin, du bist, er ist. Preteritum, you will have to learn that like this, ich war, du warst. So the sentence structure remains the same. Just instead of the present conjugations, you will have to use the preteritum conjugations. Okay. Uh, in real life, normally we don't use preteritum, but for some common verbs, for example, haben and sein and denken, glauben, essen, not essen, but you will have to use preteritum. It just makes your life easier. Okay, so learn this table. So uh, sein is a special verb, that it changes completely, but normally it doesn't change that much. Habe, hatte, hast, hattest, hart, hatte. Only for sein that changes completely. So what I'm trying to say is that mug up this table as well for 4 a.m. in the morning test. Okay, it's not that difficult, guys. If you remember so you remember for ish, du, er, as z, it's the same, right? And for ia, for via, z, it's the same as it's the same, right? You know what I'm saying? So if I have to learn this table, I will learn for ish harter, du hartest, er, z, s harter, ia hartet. For via, z, it is the same. You know what I'm trying to say? Learn this. About past, we'll talk later, but just learn this. Just make a list of, for example, I will write a list of verbs. If you can, take a screenshot or write it down. So haben, sein, glauben, denken, wissen, kennen. Just learn the predatum as well. Okay. If you're asking like how should I learn this, just go to this leo.org website and type, for example, wissen. It means to know, and click on this book symbol. And here you will have, ich weiß, this is all presents. This is preteritum. Ich wusste, du wusstest, er, sie wusste.
Leo is not visible.
Is it visible
Leo,
now?
no.
No.
Leo Fenster is missed.
Okay. That maybe I'm sharing something else.
Presentation is going on. Like,
Okay. I apologize. So just go to, but do I have to share that, guys? Or do you know what I'm saying? Just go to Leo's website. You will
Yeah.
find the conjugations. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I'm worried if I just try to share and unshare, the recording will stop. Yeah. I will post a photo. I'll post a instruction in the group later. No problem. In the group, just send me an email. I'll add you to this WhatsApp group. Okay. Let's. One second. I have to arrange my window. I think something happened. Just 1 second, guys. All right. So you can see the slide, right? Examples with Modalverben. Can you see it? Guys?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I think I know what happened. Can you see the Leo website now? Yeah, so what I said is that you just go to this Leo and type Wissen, and then here you will have this book symbol, and then you click on it, and then you will have this conjugations in present, and you have preteritum. Just learn this. Okay, so how often do you say, right? I knew that, I knew you ate the pizza. He knew, she knew. That's why I'm saying learn this. You don't have to learn that. So every verb has this. So if you don't get afraid that you'll have to learn all of this, no, just learn for few. Most of the times you don't have to learn preteritum. There is a trick. We will go through that trick. Let's go to this slide again. Yes, so uh, what I want to say is that, so here are the verbs, right? For example, aufstehen. So you can start describing your day now. Ich stehe um 8 Uhr auf. Von 9 Uhr bis 33 Uhr arbeite ich. Von 14 Uhr. Can someone read this for me? Yeah, Suraj.
Ja, von 9 Uhr bis 30 Uhr, 13 Uhr 30 arbeite ich. Von 14 Uhr bis 18 Uhr arbeite ich weiter. Um 6 Uhr 24, 6 Uhr 24 starte ich das Google Meeting für den Deutschunterricht. Es endet normalerweise gegen halb 8 Uhr. Gegen 11 Uhr gehe ich ins Bett. Gegen 11:30 Uhr schlafe ich ein.
Okay. Can you identify Trennbare verbs over here? Separable verbs over here? Suraj?
Einschlafen.
Einschlafen and
Off.
Aufstehen.
aufstehen. Yes. What else? Anyone else?
Einschlafen.
Einschlafen is already covered. This one, right? Arbeite ich weiter. It doesn't look like that, but it is one verb. So you see what happened? So now the verb is, so the verb is ich arbeite, I work. Okay. Now if you want to say I continue my work or I continue working, you will have the verb is weiter arbeiten. Actually, it's weiter arbeiten. As I said, don't pronounce the R. But because it is a prefix, the verb is weiter arbeiten. But you will have to take the prefix. You will have to take this weiter, and you will have to keep it at the last position. Okay. And you will have to conjugate arbeiten for ich. So it is ich arbeite. But as I said, last time we discussed about this, like this, I forgot, like someone gave this, like, so normally the subject is at the first position, but when you are talking about time, it takes the first position. And normally the time factor is at the beginning. This is what happens. So von blah blah bis blah blah, then at the second position, of course, you will have the verb, right? And then the subject will go after that. So is it clear what I just explained? Any questions? So this is one thing, this is one entity. This is the first position, and the second position is of the verb. Okay, the subject was supposed to be here, but because someone else took its position, it has to go after the verb. So weiterarbeiten is a Trennbare verb. But what I'm trying to say is that you can start talking about your day. The best way to learn German is to be able to describe your entire day from morning till the time you fall asleep in German. If you can say that, your German is almost perfect for your life. Don't need to learn any other thing. If you can talk about your day, I mean, what else there to talk, right? So all the verbs. Your day involves your work life. Everything that you do. Okay, so this is what I want to say. So here as well, einschlafen. So if I say I fall asleep, ich einschlafen. Okay, but because it is a Trennbare verb, I will have to take this ein and keep it just before the full stop. Okay, and I will have to conjugate schlafen for ich, that is schlafe. And if I include time, if I say 11 Uhr, now because something took the first position, the subject now has to leave its position and go after the verb. Okay. Now in real life, if you don't do it, if you say elf war ich schlafe ein, it is still fine as long as you are saying something. But in an exam, they will cut your marks for sure. Even I will cut your marks in exam. Yeah, that's what I want to say. So start writing about, okay, what is difference between schlafen and einschlafen? So schlafen is to sleep. What is einschlafen?
Sleep.
Actually, be lost in dreams.
No. So for example, after this session, you may have dinner and then you will go to sleep, but you don't really go to sleep, right? You go to you start using your phone, you read a book or you watch something, right? So you are still not sleeping, and then sometime you start falling asleep, right? And then your eyes start closing, and then maybe sometimes you forget to like turn the TV off, and then your partner may gets angry at you the next day. So that's what to fall asleep. That phase where you just question. Okay, please mute
Doze
your.
off.
Sorry.
Is the word doze off?
Yeah,
So
doze
that
off,
with the
fall asleep. Yeah, doze off or fall asleep. Yeah. Okay. So this is what I mean. Like the verb is still the same, but because you have all of these things, then it makes your vocabulary much more stronger because you can use the same verb to say so many things. Okay. Let me see if we have more slides because what you can do right now. Like the best. I mean, there are many ways to learn German, but if you want to, you know, so when let's say if you're writing, right? So you will learn all these verbs, right? Tell me, how do I say all these things in German? Swim, study, learn, jog. Please tell me. Let me choose anyone. Yeah, go ahead.
Schwimmen,
schwimmen,
studieren, lernen, joggen, uh,
Spazieren.
spazieren gehen,
Yeah, and then
laufen, essen, lesen, schlafen, schreiben, sagen, sprechen,
expression.
pendeln, what's it? Drive, fahren, trinken.
Trinken.
Okay, now, so if these are the, of course, you will have to say, ich kann, ich will, ich muss, ich darf, ich soll, right? This is how you should practice, like, again, these verbs are very simple, but, how do I say, for example, let's say, if I, this is the link, right? And if I send this link, so let's say if I send this link and, this act that I'm doing right now, this is called as ausführen. Then link ausführen. Again, you can say, right, I'm like, then link. So this is a link, right? This is a link, right? So what I'm trying to say is that learn the verbs. The verb is ausführen. Let's say, you send, there is a new guy in the company and you are teaching them something new and you send them a link, right? In Teams. And you want to tell them, can you please open the link or can you please open the website? So kannst du bitte den Link ausführen. Okay, you can say öffnen, but ausführen is much more better. Again, you can use it for websites as well and for many other things. Okay, what I'm trying to say is that don't just learn these simple verbs. Make a list of verbs that is important for your life. You can follow that dividing your day into 32 parts methodology. So you can do it like this. So something like this, and then you do it for he. For he it will be er kann, er will, er muss, er darf. It is different. You know what I'm trying to say? So what you can do is like uh, make a list of all the verbs that are important for your life, and normally you don't need no more than 500 to 1000 verbs. You already have like 15 over here, I believe. So let me see what else if I can. These are the same things. Yes, what I want to say is that and then you try to write yes or no kind of questions. So do you want, so I want to sell my bicycle. So ich will mein Fahrrad verkaufen, and then you try to write that for do you want to, then it will be willst du, is what I'm trying to say. It's good to learn something and then see how in different ways you can say it. Okay, now I want to because you learned this Trennbare web thing today, I want to tell you why is it so important. Let me add one slide. So you have this verb geben. What does geben mean, guys?
To give.
Give.
Okay, what does abgeben mean? So if you ever did masters or bachelors, at the end, what you have to do? What is that thing that you do and you feel so happy? What is that thing? You have to do that thing just before you finish your masters.
Graduated,
Sorry?
graduated, or
No,
like
that is the happy part. You do this one thing, and you feel really happy after doing that. And masters, now I can go for graduation.
pass.
You submit your thesis, right? Right. So that's to submit something, abgeben. Or let's say you, for example, you are leaving your present company because 24 months are over, and you can blue card doesn't make you stick with the same company. So you have, and when you change company, you have to hand over your laptop and equipments, right? So hand over, that's also abgeben. Okay. What do you think this means? Zugeben. What do you think? When two people are fighting, and if you're fighting with a fool, what is the best thing to do? I mean, if you cannot really run away from that fight,
To leave that person.
Agree.
you cannot leave, right? You cannot leave.
Forgive.
Agree.
You will have to agree, agree with everything that they are saying. So zugeben is to agree,
Okay.
or to agree. Then you have eingeben. What does eingeben mean? So again, these are Trennbare. Okay, so if you use them, you will have to say it is like this. Ich gebe zu. Ich gebe. Again, you can have ich gebe the equipments ab. What is eingeben, guys? Quickly. So when you go to buy something from a supermarket, towards the end, you have to swipe your card. And what do you do after swiping the card?
Enter pin.
Yeah, to enter. To enter. Eingeben is to enter. Okay. Right. Again, I'll share this slide with you. And there, I mean, this is what I'm trying. I will this PDF where I mean, you can think and then you have this. So there are many different ways. So Trennbare Verben are useful. You can use the same verb to say so many different things. For example, CN. What does CN mean? Come on. A door has two things written on it. What are the two options?
CN broken.
To pull. CN is to pull. What does CN means? It means to attract. Okay. I think we have